a legend from Nagaland named Toshi that turned into giant serpent. Imagine being cast out by your own people, only to return as their greatest hero. This is the thrilling tale of a young boy from Nagaland who transformed into a giant serpent to defend his village. A story of mystery, courage, and an unexpected hero. Let's dive in. Once upon a time, hidden in the misty hills of Nagaland, there was a boy named Toshi. His family died long ago during the rivalry between neighbouring tribes. Toshi was unlike any other child in the village. He had these deep, intense eyes and a strange, quiet charm. Even though he was kind, he often wandered alone, drawn by an invisible pull to the deep, dark forests surrounding his home. It was like something in the shadows was calling out to him, leading him further into the ancient trees and rocky cliffs. What he would find there would change his life forever. One day, Toshi ventured farther than ever before. He stumbled upon an ancient cave hidden by moss and vines, its entrance marked by strange carvings. Despite the cave's eerie atmosphere, he was filled with a strong urge to enter. As he stepped inside, he noticed symbols on the walls and an ancient stone altar in the center of the cave. Drawn by curiosity, he touched the altar, and suddenly, a rush of energy filled his body. He felt his skin tingling, his arms growing heavy, and his entire form shifting. He tried to scream but found he couldn't. His body had transformed. He had become a giant snake. Horrified, Toshi slithered out of the cave and returned to the village, hoping that someone might understand or help him. But when the villagers saw him, they were terrified. His friends and family could hardly recognize him in his new form. People whispered among themselves, and fear spread throughout the village. The elders, viewing his transformation as a curse, ordered Toshi to leave the village for good, convinced that he had been marked by dark magic. Heartbroken and alone, Toshi disappeared into the forest, living his days hidden away, learning to survive in his new body. Years went by, and the village faced many challenges, the greatest of which was a growing threat from neighbouring tribes. One fateful day, a powerful enemy surrounded the village. Outnumbered and ill-prepared, the villagers felt hopeless, fearing that their home would be destroyed. It was then that an elder, who had been a friend to Toshi when he was a boy, remembered him. Gathering the remaining villagers, he led them deep into the forest, calling out for the snake. He called Toshi by name, reminding him of their friendship and how much his family once loved him. Toshi, who had been watching from a distance, heard their cries. Although he was hurt by their past rejection, he saw their desperation and knew he couldn't leave them to face certain defeat. With a silent promise to himself, Toshi emerged from the shadows, his giant form slithering towards the village. The villagers, seeing him again, were overcome with a mixture of fear and relief. They led him to the battlefield, where their enemies were advancing, their numbers too great for the villagers to face alone. In the heart of the battle, Toshi fought bravely, using his massive form to coil around groups of enemies, striking with speed and power. His scales were like armour, deflecting blows from their weapons, and his strength alone sent waves of panic through the opposing army. The sight of this enormous serpent defending his village was so terrifying that many enemy warriors fled, believing that they were cursed by an ancient spirit. Those who remained were quickly overpowered, and by the end of the day, the enemy retreated, leaving the villagers in peace. With the threat gone, Toshi prepared to leave once again, but the villagers, now filled with gratitude and respect, begged him to stay. Realizing that his true family was here, in his village, Toshi agreed. Although he could never fully regain his human form, the villagers built a shrine in his honor where they would visit to seek protection and guidance. In time, Toshi became known as the Guardian of the Hills, a protector of his people, respected by all who remembered his bravery and sacrifice. And so, the legend of Toshi, the boy who became a giant serpent to save his people, lived on, whispered among villagers, teaching them the true value of courage, forgiveness, and the power of coming home.